guys, welcome back to So Crafty Nana. My name is Teresa, and today I have a non-Christmas project for you, and it is a triple time stamping project. And I've got one sample with a twist that I'm going to show you. So your standard technique for triple time stamping, you use one stamp and stamp it all over. And so this is an example of what that looks like once you're done with adding your layers and everything. This is a birthday card that I have for someone with a December birthday, so that's going out in the mail shortly. And then the twist that I did is actually using a single stamp, a large stamp, and this is that sample. So here you go. This shows you the sample. This is a brand new stamp set that's coming out January 4th. It's called Doggone Friendly. I just love it. As soon as I saw it for the pre-order that demonstrators are for Stampin' Up! Are allowed to pre-order, I went ahead and I pre-ordered it because I just couldn't wait to have it. And I thought it would be cool to do something that's it's the triple time stamping technique, but you're not stamping the same stamp all over, it's one stamp. Now these are very simple to make. The technique is very simple, although it's quite a wow factor if you look at it. I think it looks really, really elegant and pretty and difficult when it's not difficult. The time that it took me, it does take a little bit of time when you're doing all this coloring. So if you use the regular technique with a stamp that's filled in, it's a very quick process. Since I stamped outline images and colored them, it took me a little bit longer, but I just love how they turned out. And I think these are going to be wonderful birthday cards that I'm going to be sending out. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would really, really appreciate it. If you hit that subscribe button, remember to hit the bell. I'm posting once a week and that'll notify you when I post the next video. All of the instructions for how to assemble these cards with close-up pictures, the measurements, all of that is over in my blog. So just head over there. That link is always in the description to this video. So you can always just head right directly to the blog post that goes along with this video. And then my website is also linked below, and my Stampin' Up! Store is linked below if you're interested in that. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up!, so most of the products that I use are Stampin' Up! Products. But the technique here you can use with any large stamp that you have, any single huge stamp that you have, or just a large image stamp that you have. And so I'll show you both cards so you can see the difference, but you can use whatever product that you have. This doesn't use any designer paper, so it's only cardstock. It's 2 colors of cardstock that you use, and it comes together really quickly if you take out the coloring piece. And I enjoy the coloring, that's fun for me. So for me, I don't mind doing these. Remember too that you don't have to use alcohol markers like I did to color. You can use whatever kind of coloring implements that you have. I used to use watercolor pencils when I first started out doing cards because they were inexpensive and easy to get, and I think that looks beautiful as well. So use whatever you have, and I'll talk about that a little more as I go through the assembly of the cards. So I'm going to go ahead and take you down to the desk and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so here we are at my desk, and these are the 2 cards that I showed you. So this is the more traditional triple time stamping, and then this is my single stamp that I did the stamping with. Let me just show you that stamp. This is what it looks like that. And it's called Doggone Friendly, and this is available in January with our new catalog. And again, I was so excited, as you can tell. I was so excited with this stamp coming out because I just love dogs, and I think this is gorgeous. So let me show you some other things with the products. So the poinsettia stamp that I used, that is from Rustic Crate. This stamp set here, Rustic Crate, which is in our current catalog. And then for the sentiments that I used translucent florals for the plain happy birthday. Of course, you could use any sentiments that you have. And then for the script happy birthday, I used Very Best Occasions. And then inside on that one, I used Very Best Occasions for this sentiment as well. I needed birthday cards, so that's why I did both birthday. And then for the inside of this card, I used this another new stamp set that's coming out in January. It's called Perennial Postage. It's a it's a bundle, or you can buy just the stamps or the dies, but look at these dies, so amazing. So I almost pulled this tag to cut these out with, but I restrained myself and I just used it for the one sentiment for the inside here. And then to cut those sentiments out, I went to my go-to. These are my absolute favorite dies, the Stylish Shape dies, and I used this one here from the Stylish Shape dies to do my outside sentiment for these. So those are some of the products that I used. Now remember that all of this is going to be linked in my blog post over on my blog. So down in the description, you can click on the link. It's going to take you directly to the blog post for these projects. And all the products that I used in here will be linked there. I don't think I listed out all of the I'm trying to remember if I did all of the Stampin' Blends that I used, all of the colors, because I use such a variety, but I did color with Stampin' Blends, as I mentioned earlier, but you don't have to. You can use whatever product that you have. Stampin' Blends are alcohol markers. They always come in a set of 2, so you get a light and a dark in a set, and I love them. They have a bullet tip. If I can pull it open, they have a bullet tip on one end, and then they have a brush tip on the other end, so you can see that. And I love coloring with these. They're very forgiving. They give you that beautiful highlighting or shadowing, so I really enjoy coloring with them. And as you'll notice, I didn't color all the dogs. I just wanted to color just a few, just to give you a little bit of to pull those out of the background on the dogs. So I'll go ahead and I'll set these aside. We are making one minor change to the cards that I'm gonna do for you today. Instead of Gorgeous Grape as the background here, I'm using Moody Mauve for this card. But other than that, I'm using exactly the same products. And I've already cut my pieces just to make it a little bit quicker. So I've got my 2 card bases, which are 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. You can use the side fold ones as well. And then I've got each of my pieces. I'm just gonna go through one of these with you, but this is all in the blog post, all of the pieces and the sizes and everything. So I'm using Garden Green for this one. So in the Garden Green, we have the card base, and then we have a layer that is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And we have another layer that is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2, okay? And then we have white layers. So I have the hardest time picking things up. So we have 2 that are exactly the same. These are your standard inside piece, or outside layer, which is 4 by 5 1/4. So one of those is going to be the inside for the sentiment, and one of them is going to be my layer that I'm going to use. And then you've got another layer piece that's 3 by 4 1/4. And another layer piece that's 2 by 3 1/4. So these will all layer together in the end, like this, to create your card. But we only need the white pieces to start with. So I'm gonna pull out my green cardstock, set that aside with my card base, and we're just gonna start with this one for the poinsettia card. And then this is my label. As I mentioned, I cut it from the Stylish Shapes dies. I used Real Red for the ink on this, and then I'm using Real Red for coloring them as well, but I'll go into that in a second. So for assembly of this card, you're going to assemble the white pieces, layering them on top of each other, but you have to remember that you're going to take them apart and then layer them with the other colored cardstock. So the way that I do this is with glue dots. There's different ways you can do it, but I like using glue dots. So let me grab my Take Your Pick tool. And so I just grab a glue dot. Doesn't matter if it bunches up on you. Whoops, does matter if it sticks to your finger though. And then you want to just kind of touch it a little bit to remove just a little bit of the sticky so that you'll be able to get them apart without too much damage. And again on that one. So you're going to put a glue dot in the middle of your top two or your bottom two layers, your biggest layers, and then you're just going to layer them. Just like this. All right. Just like that. And I'm going to grab my other two and we're going to do that one more time for the other card just so I can show you again and so that we can then do all of the stamping. There's that one, and that one. Scooch those out of the way. So two more glue dots. All right. And then center that. And center this. All right. So there's my two pieces ready to be stamped. So let's talk about the stamping part of it. So in order to use this large stamp, you need our largest block, which is F, I think. Let me look. Yes, it's block F. It's on here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. It's block F, or you can use a stamp positioning tool. Now, I've been doing it with just the block. I do have the Stamparatus, which is no longer available from Stampin' Up, and I also have a Misty or a mini Misty. Both of those work just fine, but I find it just as easy to use the block, so that's what I'm going to do today. And then the other thing I will tell you that's really useful is I have this Stampendable tool. So I got this from scrapbook.com a month or so ago. They had it. I ordered a few other things and I think it was on sale for $5 or something like that. It wasn't a whole lot, but it's used to just kind of add that pressure when you use a stamp positioning tool, but it also works really well with this block. So I'm going to show you how to use that. Now you can certainly use, you know, your hand or whatever. You just have to be really careful not to move the stamp when you're doing that. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my block on my stamp, pick that up, and I'm going to bring in, I just have some paper here. This is where I've been, as you can see, playing around. And I'm going to go ahead and pull in this one. I'm going to do this stamp first, and then I'll bring over the poinsettia stamp. So as you're stamping, the reason that this pressure is really helpful is because you want to try to get a good image around these borders. It doesn't matter if you get little gaps because you're going to have that layer of cardstock. Remember, you're going to have that little bit of cardstock that's going to cover a little bit of a gap, but you don't want a whole big area of gap. So that's why you just want to kind of take a look at that and make sure that you really get a good firm pressure. It's not as hard when you're doing a smaller stamp, but when you're doing this large stamp, you really only get one shot at it. So ink it up well, and then lay it down, and then give it good pressure. And I found using my Stampin' Pierce mat under it, even though it is a red rubber stamp, I found it to be helpful. So I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink for this. And I'm just going to go ahead and ink up my stamp. And you really have to ink it, you know. This one is not an easy stamp pad to ink with, so you just have to keep tapping it around until you see that you've got a good amount of ink on there. And remember, this is an outline stamp, so it's not filled in or anything like that. Even the ears and some of those darker spots are not really filled in. They're just going to be lines. And then I found this easier to turn it sideways for me and line this up with a grid line so that I could sort of make sure my stamp was straight. So I'm going to go ahead and using my stamp block sort of straight here, set it down, give it a nice little even pressure, and then like I said, just using my pressure tool here, my Stampendable, I'm just going to give it a good rub. And I'm giving it time for that ink to transfer into the paper as well. So we're just going to give that. And then I'm just going to lift it off. And there we go. So that looks really good. So you don't have to worry about these little bits of gaps, but we don't have any major gaps anywhere else. That's probably the best one I've done so far. But you can kind of see how that looks. You've got your little bit of outlines of your dogs. You can totally decide which dogs you want to color in. You could even just color one, you know, pick one dog and color one dog in, or leave it an outline and maybe just color in the scarf and the collar and, you know, something like that. The little bow, just pick out some of those little pieces and color those in. So totally up to you what you want to color. For time's sake today, I'm gonna use the magic of camera or video or whatever, and I'm gonna pull in, I went ahead and I colored one ahead of time. So this is the one I'm actually going to use to show you to make the card, and then I'll color that one and make another card with it. But let's go ahead and do the poinsettia next. And you'll notice I have paper behind it because that stamp was bigger than my card, so there was edge going out. And then now I'm going to need that paper behind me because I'm going to go off the edge on purpose for my poinsettias, because I want some full images, but then I also want some edge images as well. And you can do as many or as few as you want with this, and you can use a different stamp if you want as well. So I'm just going to position my stamp on there. Looks pretty good. Again, using the same ink, my Memento Tuxedo Black. And I like to get one really nice image across the middle. And I am making sure to give a good amount of pressure. There we go. And then I like to turn my stamp and maybe give another direction. And this is covering over 2 lines, so I'm giving it a good amount of pressure there. And I'm still using my Stampin' Pierce mat. Good. And I don't think I want to put quite as many as I did on my other card. I'm going to give it another turn, try to go with another angle, and we'll give that a press. All right. And then I think I do want something maybe here and here, just off of the card. So maybe we'll go with that. And then I do think I want something small over here. This is totally personal preference, how you do this and how much or how little you want to put on. I think that's perfect. Take some of that ink off, and there you go. So there's my card front for that one. So really easy to do this, and you don't have to worry about these little gaps. Those are totally going to be gone when you put this card together. And again, through the magic of video, here's the colored card that I have. So I colored this with Real Red Light and Dark Stampin' Blends. I used Dark Lemon Lolly for the middles, and then Granny Apple Green Light and Dark for the leaves. So I love it. I think it looks really pretty. So those are the two that I'm going to use today to make my cards, just to save us some time of the coloring. Like I said in the intro, the coloring is what takes the most time, and this will show you exactly that. It's very quick once you have that part done. I'm going to set these stamps out of my way so I don't get ink on myself until I get those cleaned. So let me show you the next step. So this is the part that is a little scary, but not really, because remember, the backs of these is not going to show, but you need to take them apart where you glued them together. And the easiest way that I found by using the glue dots is if you just twist them, they come apart really well. So there's my 3 pieces of that one, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one. There we go. You see how easy those came apart. Now don't worry, if yours tear a little bit, it's going to be covered up. Don't worry about it. What I will say is try to keep them in the order that you took them apart so you don't accidentally put them together in the wrong order. So I'm going to pull my card pieces in here. So this is my green pieces over here and my Moody Mauve pieces over here. And we're just going to go ahead and assemble up these 2 cards really quickly. No problem at all. So what we are going to do is we're going to layer these larger pieces, or smaller pieces, sorry, don't know my sizes. We're going to layer those up, and then we're going to add them to this, and we're going to add them to the front. So I'm just going to do that right now, and I'm just using multi-purpose glue. You could totally use Stampin' Seal, whatever your adhesive of choice is. Just gonna center that on there, give that a little rub. Same with this one. Don't even worry about that adhesive in the middle, because again, that's gonna be underneath the colored cardstock, so you don't even have to worry about that. Add this one. You're gonna be shocked at how quickly this beautiful card comes together. And now we're gonna add this. Now you could assemble this differently. If you prefer to assemble on top of your card, that's totally up to you. I like to assemble completely separately and then add to my card as the last step. But you totally have whichever, you do it whichever way you like. Okay. See how beautiful that looks, and it totally hides any gap that you had. I love these cards. They're kind of magic when they come together. All right. Make sure I get that centered. Looks pretty good. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and add this to the card front. And actually, I'm going to burnish that card because I haven't done that. Burnish that, and now we'll add this to the front. Okay. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? I just love these cards. All right. So I need to stamp my inside sentiment because I did not do that yet. So let's go ahead and do that. For this one, it is going to be the sending you smiles for every moment of your special day. And I'm going to be stamping that in real red. All right. Hopefully centered. Yeah, that looks good. And we're done with the real red. And we can go ahead and put this inside our card. Now you could, if you wanted to, decorate this in another way. You could stamp a poinsettia on the inside or along the corner, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it blank and attach it to my inside. Just like that. And then for my sentiment, you can put it anywhere you would like. I'm going to use dimensionals for mine because I love dimensionals. You can see all the ink on my hands from coloring. Hazard of the fun of coloring. Get it all over you. All right, so decision. I don't want to cover up my flowers in the corner. I kind of just want to put it like low center here. I think this is where I'm going to put it. All right, so there's card number 1. Pretty quick when you take that coloring out of it. And now we're going to do card number 2. And we're going to get this layered up, just like we did the other one. I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue again, but again, you use your adhesive of choice. One thing I will say is you'll notice that I used Moody Mauve on one of the dogs as I was coloring, just to pull in that outside color of the cardstock. That's the only reason I did that. So I would recommend that you at least pull in that cardstock color somewhere. Now, I also used it in the ink on the sentiment, so it would have been fine if I didn't color the dogs with it. But you'll definitely want to use it somewhere to just pull that color together. All right. Just assembling these the same way we did before. Trying to make sure that they are, like I'm lining up the dog's back, the dog's head, just sort of trying to make them look like they're on there straight. That looks pretty good. Running out of glue, I think. There we go. All right. Again, just kind of looking to make sure the dogs look like they're positioned the way they should be. Go ahead and burnish my card base. And we'll attach this one. There we go. Attach that on the front. Again, we need to stamp our sentiment. This one is going to be sending love and best wishes. And I'm going to use Moody Mauve ink, just like the card base. It's a juicy ink pad. I like this sentiment because it's kind of wonky, so it sort of doesn't matter if you get it crooked because it's not really square. So I like that about it. All right, and then we're just going to add this to the center and we're almost finished. 2 cards in a pretty short span of time. Give that a nice rub. And again, you could stamp something on the inside if you wanted to. You could use a little bit of colored cardstock, put a little thin strip in there, whichever. Oh, I had this, apparently I made, yeah, this one was stamped really bad. So this is actually the front. I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple of dimensionals on the back. Oops. There we go. And again, you have to make a decision on where you want to put this. So I could totally put it up here and not cover any dogs. I could put it at the bottom. I think I'll put it up here. I think I'll put it up there for this one. So there we go. So there are my 2 cards, and I'll bring in the other 2 cards. I need to embellish these, so I think I'm going to use the adhesive backed glitter sequins, which is what I used down here. I think I'm going to use those again. I'll use the clear or white ones on this one and the green ones on that one. So let's pull these out, and my take your pick. I've got stuff everywhere on this table, and we will put a few sparkly green on here like that. And for the white ones, stick one there, stick one there, stick one there. All right, I like to do them in 3s or 5s or something like that, so just odd numbers. So there you go, my 2 sets of cards, my triple time stamping with a twist on this card. And I think that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions about how to do these, please check out my blog or leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to get back with you. If you liked this video, I would really very much appreciate a thumbs up. And hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of my videos. I post about once a week, and typically it's going to be card type videos that I'm posting, but who knows what will be coming up. We have our new release catalogs coming up, and I have a box on its way to me right now with some pre-order items that I'd love to share with you. I also have a box over at the side with some pre-order items. So I'm going to be showing you some of the new things that are coming out for Stampin' Up! Coming up over the next couple of weeks. And we'll be looking at some New Year's cards, and then we'll start looking at Valentine's and all of that. So I hope you'll join me. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Have a wonderful day.